Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube and welcome to our House of Dragon stream. I'm here with Reverend Jake. How you doing?
I am angry about corpses.
Oh yes, and in this particular episode, it's called the Lord of the Tides, and we have another time jump. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of getting used to these time jumps now, so I'm not as bothered as some people are regarding these time jumps. Another excellent episode, not the most action packed. One major scene of brutality, I may add, but other than that, it was drama all the way and very interesting. Good to see some of the younger lads now getting a lot older. I'm sure they will play a more prominent role. I do feel this regarding this Targaryen war, it'll probably go on for generations. So we'll probably see different Targaryens at different points in life. We'll probably eventually people like Rhaenyra and Alicent, they'll probably get old and die out, and then we'll see another generation in 2 or 3 seasons time. So I feel that's how they're going with it with these constant time jumps. But what did you think of this episode, Jake?
I think the time jumps are good. I'm enjoying them. It keeps the story moving when there's not a lot happening here and there. I know that before the show came out, before we knew they were doing time jumps, there was a lot of concern about how thin the story was, but it works with the time jumps, so I like that. Always having a good time with this show, which surprises me because, as I've mentioned many times, Game of Thrones is a terrible TV show and no one should ever like it. Um, but I think they're doing really good in this. It's also hilarious to me that Matt Smith is the best character in this show, but yet he's also the worst part of Morbius. So it's kind of weird how that can
I
exist in
I,
both places.
I actually disagree. I think Patty Constantine's Viserys is the best character in the show. Um, I actually genuinely think with the performance he's giving, like showing different periods of his decay in his life, and also having to juggle being the king and having different emotional things, and the scenes where he was being drunk and stuff like that, and how he was dealing with the oh god, what's the name of that that group? Castle Rock. How can I forget?
Yeah,
The Lannisters. Like
yeah,
how he was talking to one of the Lannister twins. I mean, some of the scenes he's been, and this episode too, knocking it out the park with various levels of acting. Absolutely fantastic. If he doesn't win an Emmy for this performance, I'll be shocked.
honestly, I still think that Matt Smith does a better job. I think he has more complex things to portray. I mean, Viserys, the actor playing him, would sadly, I don't even know his name, but that
Paddy
actor.
Constantine, he's a very good British actor.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think he's doing a good job, but I think he has less material to work with, and he's kind of old and frail is kind of his shtick. I mean, not that I think it's on the actor. I think he's doing a really good job portraying it. He did do a really great scene with his speech tonight. It was fantastic, but I still think overall throughout the entire show, Matt Smith is killing it.
Okay, I don't think Matt Smith has been in as many episodes as or sorry, has been it's not like he's been front and center as much as Paddy Constantine. I think actually this is probably the first episode where Paddy Constantine wasn't in that much, but even when he did come on screen, absolutely powerful. The scene where he's just walking to the throne and how they prolonged it, like his whole decay and everything
Yeah.
is it, anyway. We can go back and forth on this as much as possible, but let's break it down, shall we? So this is where I'm going to get a bit confused with the names though, because these fucking Targaryen names they all bloody sound the same. But there's Rhaenyra and there's Rhaenyra, who's also known as the queen that never was. And Rhaenyra, at the beginning of this episode, is getting a report from her maester about her husband, Lord Corlys. Now, I believe he's missing in action, missing in the stepstone, so to speak. So we
Yeah.
don't know exactly what's happened to him, but obviously, War in the Stepstones. It's like War in the Stepstones is pretty much. I do apologize. War in the Stepstones is pretty much guaranteed as much as the sun rising each day. There's always fucking shit going on in that part of the world,
Yeah.
and because like the Valerians are like the navy, the naval fleet of um of Westeros. They tend to deal with all the sort of issues that happens in that part of the world. And Corlys is a uh, he's a warrior. We've seen him actually fight, the crab feeder and those sort of guys. So he's always going to be called to call to duty. But now he's gone missing, and his brother wants Driftmark, and so we see that he's kind of indirectly claiming this Driftmark by speaking to his sister-in-law, Rhaenyra, and in a way, he almost seems like he wants the Iron Throne as well. And now I think there's an alliance between him. I forgot. I'm going to be calling him Corlys's brother because unfortunately his name escapes me. But he has an alliance, I believe, with Alicent as well. And because Alicent's kind of calling the shots now with the king being so ill, so she's in charge. We see Daemon enter a cave, and he takes 3 dragon eggs and gives them to his dragon keeper. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this before or knew about this, but the eggs themselves, they're in some sort of like cocoon. Would you say? I don't know how to describe it.
Marble sack.
Yeah, like it was all like pussy and stuff like that.
That was new.
Yeah, that was new for me. But he managed to take 3 eggs and gave them to his crypt keepers, so to speak, his dragon keepers. So we see a pregnant.
Those 3 will come into play later on.
I don't know. People were assuming that those 3 eggs are the ones that Daenerys has. Dany, Khaleesi, she has at the beginning of season 1, which would end up being her dragons, but that's not the case. What I've been told from other people, from people who know the lore a lot better, that's not the case. But yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe if we do follow the generational line of the Valerians and the Targaryens at the end, then they will come into play later on, maybe in 100 years' time by season 5 or something. So yeah, we see a pregnant Rhaenyra, and she's watching her son Jace, or Jaceres, but they call her Jace, learn Valerian from a maester. And Rhaenyra thinks that Rhaenyra has had her son killed so she can marry Daemon. And this was a message that Rhaenyra got, basically saying that she's going to be challenging the legitimacy of her children. But it's not really Rhaenyra who'll be doing that. We'll later find out it's her brother-in-law. Rhaenyra and Daemon arrive to an eerily quiet King's Landing, now run by the Hightowers. And they go into the king's chamber, and this is where they see Viserys. I mean, this guy. I mean, this is the funny thing about Game of Thrones. Usually, people die, and for this guy to be going on, even though he's the king, to be going on as long as he has been, falling apart, it's quite remarkable that he's still alive. But Daemon also said, and this is one thing I did like about Daemon in this episode. Like, even though he's a crazy psychopath, he does give a shit. He does give a shit about his brother. You can tell he genuinely cares for him.
I don't think he's a crazy psychopath.
Well, he killed his wife. You forgot that?
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that makes him. Don't try and justify after that. He killed his wife, dude.
Or did he just finish the job after she drove him over the edge?
Well, then, I could drive somebody over the edge. I wouldn't expect them to kill me for it. You know what I mean? That makes him a psychopath.
Dead.
Sorry?
She was already basically dead, crushed under the horse. She can't move, and she's all like,
he was going to kill her. He wanted to kill her. I mean, she realized that. He spooked the horse. Mate, look, you do this thing about you justifying bullshit here, man. Come on.
I'm not justifying it.
I just said that he killed his wife, and you're thinking, oh, he's not a psychopath. Oh, fair enough. And then you're trying to make it. No.
You can be driven to a moment of temporary insanity and not be a psychopath.
What? Mate, I have never killed anybody.
No, I know you haven't. But have you ever been driven to a temporary point of madness? No.
In what sense? Like what? Maybe in what sense? Like what sense would make it?
Like I said, she's down. She's basically dead, and she's goading him. And
what was he doing there? He wanted to kill her in the first place.
Did he?
Yes.
See, now you're supposing things.
No, because she was defending herself, and then he spooked the horse, and then she
Did
fell down under the horse. Yes, he did. Do you remember the episode? I don't know
Yeah.
if you're trolling me. I don't know if you're genuinely trolling me right now, but
Well, I mean,
yeah,
a little bit. I'm definitely playing devil's advocate here. But the thing is if you watch the behind the scenes in that episode, they
mate,
intentionally talk about how.
even in
Hold
this
on, let me
episode,
finish. Let me finish.
yeah,
You
yeah.
watch behind the scene, the episode or behind the scenes in that episode. They specifically say that they intentionally filmed it so that you can't determine whether or not he spooked the horse on purpose or if the horse just happened to spook. And that's supposed to be intentionally ambiguous because it's a little more fun when you have to
We
question
already know that he doesn't like his wife. We
but
already
that
were
doesn't mean
very
you
much.
kill
I mean, we already got an idea of his persona anyway. But he's also a complex character. I mean, as I said earlier, the guy is
yeah.
in my opinion a psychopath. But I mean, he laughed at his wife's funeral. I mean, the guy is nuts. And then on the same day, pretty much the same day of his funeral, he then marries Rhaenyra after his wife just been buried. The guy has got no shame, but he does care for his brother.
I do take it that it was a while after that they got married
They
because
were on bloody Driftmark, dude. What? How long's a while? What?
I
A
don't know.
day or two? A week? I mean, come on, man.
You
Now you're
with all the
speculating.
crazy time jumps, but I mean,
There's no time jump there.
it has to be after they plan it. I mean, it takes a while to plan it.
Hey, on the same day of a wife getting married, they're walking along the beach and he shagged her. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but that's different.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the guy's got no.
Shagging is different from murdering.
I'm just
And
saying
we're talking about different
he's a man of little remorse, but he does care for his brother. You can see it because he's grown up with him. He's grown up with his entire life. He does feel for him. They've got history, and so you can see for that. You can see him for that. Anyway, Alicent sees this is one of my favorite scenes of the episode. Alicent, wait, stop making so much noise, guys. I'm gonna come out. Come out. Stop making so much noise. Get out of here. All right. Alicent, she sees the crying chambermaid. Now, the performance by the chambermaid was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I liked. Oh, by the way, I just something Cheeto just triggered the memory, like the way. Do you remember the dinner scene when Damon spoke to her wife's cousin? Yeah, he killed her. He killed her, mate. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, regardless, Alicent sees a crying chambermaid who was raped by her son Aegon. And initially, I thought it was like sexual misconduct, but then as they continued talking, I realized, shit, no, she got raped by him. And like this is like that. Aegon's got a thing for chambermaids. We saw that in the previous episode when he saw a couple of them as he was training with Kristen and Harwin Strong, and
he seems to have a power dynamic there where he sees them as less of people, and so he can just use them however he wants.
Yeah, for sure. And the maid is like the performance by the maid. She doesn't know, like, she's done nothing wrong. It's like being in these sometimes in these like certain parts of the world where you've done nothing wrong, but they victim blame. So you get, especially women, like in some Middle Eastern parts of the world, unfortunately, if you get raped, somehow you're also guilty for something. Maybe for enticing the man to rape you in the first place. So and it used to be like that in Christian countries as well back in the day. So you can see how petrified she is with the outcome of this, but she has been raped by her. And Alicent gives her, I think, was it milk of the poppy she gives her? Or something like that?
No, milk of the poppy is more like a codeine. I forget what they call it. It's something tea. But it's some sort of flower tea that is essentially a morning apple.
Yeah, abortion juice. And and it gives her some gold because she can't work there anymore. Like a long time ago, when I was I did stewarding at a Chelsea football match, and some of these Chelsea fans, a lot of Chelsea fans are quite racist. Yes, I'm saying that right now. And some of them had like fucked with me a little bit to get some of their sneak some of their friends in as I was guarding this particular door. And then afterwards, I had to report these guys, and we went on the CCTV, and I reported them, and then I lost my job because if I was still working there, then some friends of those fans would find me and probably beat the fuck out of me, possibly even kill me. So they had to fire me after I ratted them out, on the CCTV.
That's ridiculous.
So yeah, it's ridiculous, and it kind of reminded me with this maid, like what happened to her, kind of happened to me. Like I felt the parallel, so to speak. Like she had to out Aegon for what he did, but at the same time she could no longer work there because it'd be too dangerous for her, and people would gossip and stuff like that. And yeah, she was given some gold and then told to go on her merry way. Abortion juice. Don't let the Republicans hear that. Sorry, don't let the Republicans hear that. They'll ban it, and the Democrats will try to patent it.
Hey, politics. We really.
I love abortion juice for the win, dude.
I
Anyway,
a funny joke, but do we need to?
yeah. Allison confronts Aegon, and Aegon's like just sleeping, and he's like butt naked and shit like that. Very pissed off with it. But I mean, this guy's supposed to be king. Well, I mean, really, Rhaenyra is, but as far as Allison's concerned, he's going to be king. And she's
Is he the
pissed
same one
off.
that was jerking off out the window in the other episode?
Yeah.
Must be, right?
A funny thing is because he's the older brother to Aemon, but Aemon looks older than him in this episode. But yeah, regardless. We see Rhaenyra's elder sons. They're training in the training ground, which they used to train in as kids. And they're watching Creston and Aemon now. We see Aemon. You can tell it's Aemon with the eye patch, and he's got a real menacing look about him. This Aemon Targaryen, like he's got very sharp features. He looks very sinister. Really good makeup job with it. Yeah, great casting, but unfortunately he looks older than his older brother. He's supposed to be the middle child, and he looks older, which is weird. Anyway, Otto advises his daughter that war is upon them, and it would be better for the naval fleet to have an experienced person like the Corlys brother than a child who would inherit the fleet. So they don't want basically a young person to inherit the fleet and then be in charge of it. And so yes, you are a chat troll, dude. Yeah. They want Corlys' brother to inherit the fleet because he's obviously a navalman. And I think this is where Rhaenyra begs her dying father for help because she feels the burden of being heir to the throne. You can see it is weighing upon her. Like this Game of Thrones. If anything, she doesn't want to play it. She's always going to be a very powerful person. She doesn't care whether she inherits the throne or not, because she can see all the damage it's caused. Since Viserys made her the heir. Viserys is being operated on and being in pain. Whilst being in pain, he wants to have dinner with all his family and discuss the future. That was a sick scene, like seeing like his the camera work or the special effects to make him look so frail and so broken. It's fantastic.
Oh my god, yeah.
So call it
hole in his mouth.
Yeah, hole in his mouth, hole in his eye. He lost an eye and everything. I mean, like, I almost thought he had like a form of leprosy, and like all his family members are all over him, touching him and stuff like that. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, you don't want to be doing that. But anyway, Corlys' brother pleads his case at the hand of the king, who's basically listening, doing like what Ned Stark did in season 1, basically listening to people's pleas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's talking about basically taking over the naval fleet. And Rhaenyra is about to plead her case when Viserys, looking like the Phantom of the Opera, shows up and takes over proceedings. And the way he just walks in, like the door open, is very grand. He doesn't want any help, but he does eventually get help by Daemon near the end, which obviously shows that Daemon does care for his brother. But it was a great moment, like how he's hobbling to his chair and stuff like that, and they really stretched it out,
Yeah.
It was a great scene. Viserys very cleverly speaks to Rhaenyra and asks her what she wants. Now, this is the funny thing because you would have thought Rhaenyra would have sided with her brother-in-law, but earlier on she was speaking to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra basically said, "Why don't you betroth your daughters to my children and let them get married, and we could unify our families and yada yada." And Rhaenyra initially thought that was like a last throw of the dice, but in a way, she kind of thought this was the better offer, and she decided that yes, I will betroth my children to the Rhaenyra family. They will marry, and they will, because like Viserys is speaking to Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra is the wife of Corlys who's gone missing. So in a way, she's in charge. So that's why he's speaking to her. What does she want to do? And she decides that yeah, well, I'll marry my grandchildren off to Rhaenyra's kids, and then we'll combine our families together, and they'll be in charge of the fleet. As far as she's concerned, Rhaenyra's bastard children are her son's children, even though they're not. And this is where Corlys' brother comes in and thinks, "What the fuck?" I mean, everybody knows Rhaenyra's kids are bastards. Like he's so pissed off. He challenges the king right there, and the king threatens to.
Right there.
I thought to myself, this guy's gonna die any minute now. I was genuinely thinking that he's going to fucking die any minute now. He's really calling out the king in front of everyone. He's calling his daughter a whore, saying that his grandchildren are bastards. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and then boom.
Calling his grandchildren bastards was one thing because that's true, but calling her a whore, that's where Daemon got pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he was 100% right. Everyone knew, and Rhaenyra's, like she didn't. I think she didn't care that her granddaughters were marrying Rhaenyra's bastard children because it would still be her line for her granddaughters. So she was fine with that, even though she obviously knew that her grandsons or nephews, it's so fucking confusing with all the incest, but she kind of knew that her grandsons, because it was her son's alleged children, but they're not because they were Harwin Strong's kids.
Yeah,
she knew that they weren't going to be, they weren't her kids, but she didn't fucking care.
Well, she had to know her son was gay. I think that was pretty common.
Yeah, they did. They did know. Remember, her and her husband said that they go through a phase, and the husband said, Corlys said, but no man ever turns down, to bedding a woman, something like that. I remember that in that earlier episode when they were on Driftmark. So they knew that their son was gay, and then obviously we had the chat between Rhaenyra and is it Laenor? That was his name. Yeah. God, the names are killing me, man. I swear to God, the names are absolutely fucking killing me. So anyway, regardless of all of that, after Corlys calls out all the shit that's going on, is really offended and pissed off, and you could tell the High Towers are not happy by this because they probably got an alliance with Corlys' brother as well. But Daemon comes along and pretty much chops his head off, but by the chin area, and you can still see the tongue in the mouth. It's fucking brilliant special effects. But yeah, it was a good clean swipe, and he's dead. How dare you talk to the king like that? Did you like that decapitation, Reverend Jake?
Like I said, I mean, you pissed him off when you insulted his bride, and he's been in love with her, since episode 1. It was quite obvious that they were going to bang, even though they weren't twins. So and it was a pretty good decapitation. The tongue sticking out. Honestly, it reminds me of Mortal Kombat, the most recent one. I don't know how much you played them, but they reuse a lot of the mechanics of how they cut up bodies, and they just have a different skin on the outside, but it always slices exactly at the mouth.
Yeah.
See that tongue waggling. The same shot they did, today is used in like 7 or 8 different fatalities in the newest Mortal Kombat. So it didn't phase me, and I'm like, yeah, tongue waggling, and yeah. But at the same time, I get why he killed him. It made plenty of sense. It was a good cut to the dramatic, because you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh, all right, that happened, and we're done. We're moving on with our lives. I thought
Yeah.
it was weird that she wanted to watch him be cut up, though.
Well, what her brother getting cut up?
Well, it's not her brother; it's her husband's brother.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, brother-in-law. I meant.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy insulted the king. It was a death sentence. Everyone, it was accepted. He couldn't keep if he kept bad mouthing the king and not get killed for it, he would it would have been a sign of weakness, regardless of who he was.
yeah.
So yeah. By the way, I don't play Mortal Kombat, but I love watching it. I love watching it. I love watching. It's one of the few games I do. I'm not into watching video games, but I do like watching Mortal Kombat. I like watching it for the fatalities and all of that sort of stuff, and the brutalities and all that sort of stuff. It's good fun to watch, and
I
the
can get into
story.
some games. I can get into some games, especially games that I'm not good at. But I like the game. Then I can watch someone who's good at it play it and enjoy it.
Well, there's some games out there where they've got such a good storyline. I just watch it for that, like on YouTube, like Injustice. The games, the storylines are fantastic, and even with the Mortal Kombat games as well, there's some really good storylines. Um, like with the DLC as well, with Shang Tsung and Liu Kang, and they go on a time heist. Anyway, the scene where Matt Smith puts the crown on the king was an accident. The crown dropped off the king's head, and Matt Smith went with it. Made for a beautiful scene. Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that was actually
Ah,
pretty cool.
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I
I
always
had no
love
idea.
little tidbits like that kind of make the movie from something that happened behind the scenes. Complete tangent, but the story of the behind the scenes on Phantom Force is just crazy.
Do you ever watch wrestling back in the day?
When I was a little kid,
Did you see that scene where the Rock and Sock, basically Rock and Mick Foley, they're having a little chat in the ring, and Rock's, he's really cool and stuff. He's like a Samoan Elvis, and his glasses fall off his head, but he's the Rock. He can't just go bend down and pick up his glasses, and Mick Foley picked it up for him, and the Rock thanked him for it. And it was just that moment where they just improvised on the spot. And yet, now when the moment Daniel Vance mentioned this, that was the first thought that came into my mind. Mick Foley picking up the Rock sunglasses.
yeah, definitely.
um,
Yeah, have those little improv moments that really they can add a lot because if you it can show whether or not your characters truly have chemistry. Because if
yeah,
they do
yeah,
have a good chemistry, they can play off each other, and it creates a really unique, organic moment. But when you have people who don't have chemistry trying to do that, it turns up looking like crap. Like
yeah.
most
I
of
agree.
the one of Star Wars.
So we have the family dinner time, and Viserys is upset how like his family members are all very distant from each other. And at this particular point, and actually earlier on, I started to notice the color coding now because I really didn't. Obviously, it wasn't really distinctive until the wedding episode, but it's been a lot more distinctive now. You can tell the Targaryens are wearing black, and the High Towers are wearing green. You can see the lines are divided,
Yeah,
and you can see everyone around the dinner table. Viserys, he's very upset. His family members are all very distant from each other. He begs them, look, I'm dying here. Like please, just get along. We're all family. We all love each other and all of that. It was a very powerful scene, and he even takes off his mask just to show the look at me. I'm falling apart, and that's when I think initially Rhaenyra offers an olive branch.
yeah.
Um, and Renee and Allison, she in turn also tries to bring the peace, but it's the
She
fucking
doesn't
kids,
do
man.
it nearly.
Sorry,
She doesn't do it nearly as well. Like,
no, no, no. She's not. I mean, because in a way she's still quite bitter, in my opinion. Rhaenyra is a lot more is a lot more chilled in comparison, and it's a lot more easier to forgive. And she doesn't care about the throne or as much as Alicent done. Alicent, she's almost got like this burden put on upon her in a position where she wasn't naturally installed. 1 minute she's a chambermaid, next thing you know, boom, she's the fucking queen. You know, so regardless, it's made her very bitter. But still they do their best to to olive branch each other and build some bridges. But it's the fucking kids, man. Now we already saw Aemon Targaryen take a liking to his uncle's head getting chopped off, but we then we then see him. Well, initially we see Aegon Targaryen uh, calling out his cousin or his nephew regarding how he about not being able to pleasure his new wife. But Aegon Targaryen, by this particular point, I believe, is married to his weirdo sister. Is that correct?
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah, and she's fucking weird. I forget the sister's name. I haven't brought her up in the past, but because
I think
she has very small scenes, but she loves playing with insects. She's really into fucking insects.
I think she's supposed to be like a mage type character with prophetic dreams, and that fucks with her and keeps her a little crazy.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk in about various Targaryens in the various books and comics and side stuff, and all of the ones that have prophetic dreams basically are like mad, um, and can't really think. But yeah, I think Daniel Vance got it right. One Eye does still want his pound of flesh, and having a dragon on his back and being a very good warrior. Um, I think is going to make it. I think he's going to kill a strong by the end of the season to kind
One
of
of the
get.
strong kids. Or
Yeah,
there's but Rhaenyra is pregnant, by the way, and she's already got two kids from Damon,
yep,
and she's got three kids from Strong
two.
because she was free. She was pregnant with she was giving birth to one at the beginning of that particular episode after we had the time jump, and she already had two kids right around anyway,
Oh yeah,
and
you're right.
yeah,
Um,
so she's on her sixth kid now, and which is in her belly, but she showed off like twins or something like that to
yeah,
her dad, so yeah, a lot she's sprouting them out, and yeah, I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought, but regardless, Aemon Targaryen, who looks older than his older brother, yeah, he's definitely got a taste for things, and as Daniel once said, he wants his pound of flesh, and you tell he still held a grudge on that dining table, and yeah, shit went down, and they had a little scuffle and a little fight, and I feel the baton's now being passed to the kids. I really do. Maybe not this season, but definitely next. They're gonna because I think the war's gonna. Even though maybe Allison and Rhaenyra might bury the hatchet, their kids won't. And it all started off in that cave. It all started off with Aemon stealing that dragon. Who knows where things would have been if he didn't. And obviously his eye then gets cut and stuff like that. So, One Eye will attack Rhaenyra, who will be returning on Dragon after getting the kids home. So he'll attack his sister. That's his sister, by the way. His half sister. You think he'll do that? If she simply disappears, who's to know? If Rhaenyra, there's some characters I feel who are gonna last a little bit, last a little while. I
I
feel
don't
like there's
think
some, yeah. Go on.
I don't think she's going to come back on it. I think the death of Viserys is going to change everything. Him being dead, nothing is going to happen because, I mean, they hadn't left yet when he died, and shit's going to go fucking crazy next episode because he's dead. And I
Yeah.
think, and that's what I'm saying, I think we're going to lose at least one of the strong boys, if not next episode, the episode after. And I think that's going to be really what starts the war.
Well, one of the strong boys, he danced with his cousin, as a way of getting back at Aegon. You know, like he took his goddamn with the incest and everyone's all fucking married to each other. He took he took his cousin's wife, who happens to be his sister, but also his cousin, the other guy's cousin anyway. I mean, it's so fucking confusing to talk about this. And started dancing with her just to rub it into Aegon, because she actually said about Aegon that he's not really a real man. All he does is fuck chamber wives and stuff like that. They have no real interest in each other. They're brother and sister, for fuck's sake. I mean, even though Valerian's and Targaryens are supposed to fuck each other, pure blood and all of that sort of shit. Doesn't mean they want to. I mean, it's a family tradition. You see, Aegon Targaryen is too busy sowing his seeds in chambermaids. But we we obviously the king is really ill. He ends up going back to his bed, and this is where Alicent's with the king. And at some point during the scene, I generally thought Alicent was going to get a pillow and suffocate him to death, but that
I
never happened. I did, but that never happened. But he brings up the prophecy of the Song of Ice and Fire and mentioned about a person called Aegon, who's the prince that who was never promised or something like that. Aegon Targaryen, though, being Jon Snow, but she doesn't realize that she thinks it's her fucking Aegon.
Yeah.
But she's very confused by this since her husband's a bit delusional. And this is the saddest scene, but I'm gonna miss him so much, man. He dies, I believe.
Oh yeah.
He croaks out. Here we hear his dying breath, and all of that. And Viserys the first, you're done, mate.
Yeah.
So
I was
yeah.
surprised they didn't kill him sooner. I expected him to die episode 3 or 4.
Well, I think we always expect people to get killed, but in a way, he was being killed, but it was just a prolonged death.
Yeah.
And being king as well, he's not that easy to kill. And he's surrounded by lots of family, even if they don't necessarily agree with a lot of him, and he was always going to die. He just happened to in a way. He almost died in a way which was probably worse than being killed off at an earlier age. He died in agony and pain. He was falling apart. Honestly, I don't think I would like to live, with losing my limbs, losing my eyeball, hole in my mouth. The pain he must have been feeling. It's like he might have had cancer, but we just don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. All the lesions on his body and stuff like that. I think he might just as simply have had cancer.
He was supposed to have gotten some bloodborne disease from cutting his finger on the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
He lost his fingers.
But he already had legions on his back in the first episode before he cut his finger.
On his back from the
from the throne. Yeah.
Well, I've kind of under the impression that he just kept getting cut and didn't get healed correctly, which I honestly they make the accusation, and I think it's supposed to be an open accusation that his health is getting worse because the Maesters are treating him like crap because the Maesters are in the pockets of the High Towers, and the High Towers are trying to get power. So the sooner he's dead, the sooner they have power.
Yes, yeah. They're killing him slowly by making it look like they're trying to help him. They don't want to immediately poison him. It's a long game of like making him deteriorate. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. The hands turns the loom, a spool of the green, spool of the black, dragons of meat, weaving dragons of thread, the spider prophecy from Helena Targaryen. Is that a quote from the books? Sorry?
So that must be from the book somewhere.
And the king had necrotizing I can't say that word. Facets. Yes. Yeah. It's regardless. It's just sad to see him go. Fantastic character. He will be missed. And unfortunately, I think I'm really hoping Paddy Considine can leave a legacy the same way Sean Bean's Ned Stark did in Game of Thrones, because even though he died in season 1, you always felt his presence looming for all the other seasons. So I'm really hoping that's the case. Fantastic performance, absolutely fantastic performance. I really am going to miss it. He's such a great actor, by the way. He's been in so much stuff. Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
Yeah.
He's in Hot Fuzz. He plays one of the cops with glasses with the mustaches. There's 2 cops with mustaches, and he's one of them.
Okay.
So
I remember it's been a while.
Yeah. He goes, Angel, don't be a twat now. Anyway, Helena Prophecy was in episode 6. Damn, I can't remember the prophecy. But yeah, regardless, we are. we are now 2 episodes away from finishing this. I remember Ned Stark died in episode 9 of season 1. And I really genuinely thought he was going to be saved at some point, but no, they killed him off. And this time around, the series is killed off in episode 8. The first major character to be killed off, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Lord Strong, but not really.
Nah, not really. I was gonna say maybe the crab feeder, but nah, again, not
No,
really.
not really. No,
Or
not at all.
what's his name? The prior Lord of Driftwood, but he's not confirmed dead yet. And I have a feeling anytime someone's not confirmed dead, they're gonna come back. So he'll be back next season, I bet.
Oh, Leon Valerian.
No, the Valerian, the main guy married to Rhaenyra.
Yeah, Lenor. Sorry, Lenor.
No, not Laenor. Laenor's
Who?
dad.
Lenor's dad, Corlys. Yes. Well, we
Yeah,
don't know if he's dead.
there we go.
Yeah, we don't know if he's dead yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay, hello there, Michael.
they're saying
Shockwave. Oh,
he is.
so this guy I used to play with. I used to play. The funny thing is, this guy Michael. I used to play Division 2 with him, and he's a cool guy, Michael. By the way, I don't want to take anything away from him, but the group we and him would play in, they had this one guy, and they made fun of him because he was a Republican. So I said to him, can I borrow your Ku Klux Klan outfit so I can go trick or treating as a ghost? And he got really offended, and they kicked me out of the group. And they kicked me out of the group for being a racist. But I hear everyone in this group talking all manners of shit, and they kicked me out for that. I was thinking, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, but that wasn't Michael's fault. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I kept thinking, just pour the milk of the poppy in his eye.
I don't think it's
Maybe
quite a
that-
healing potion.
Mad Dukes, Zam. Yes, Mad Dukes, how you doing, mate? You rock. Yes, baby. I fucking do. Do you like my fucking Dragon Ball Z? I wore this one, by the way, for my mate here. For my mate here, Rev, because he likes his Dragon Ball and all of that shit. So I thought, yeah, I'll wear my Dragon Ball shirt. You know what I mean? Goku like charging up.
I hate
Dragon
Ball.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
I think it's. I mean, the first time you watch any arc, it's really good, and then it's just a snowball downhill of quality from there as you realize that every episode is the exact same thing, or every arc is the exact same thing.
House of Dragon's a bit boring for me. I just can't get invested in the characters. Mate, House of Dragon. I review a show every day. I review House of Dragons today. Tomorrow I'll be reviewing Quantum Leap. Wednesday I'll be doing Andor. Thursday I'll be doing Lower Decks. Friday I'll be doing She-Hulk, and Saturday I'm doing Lord of the Rings. All the shows I'm doing, I find this show to be the best. But he's more invested in Rings of Power, and I don't mind Rings of Power. I do feel finally the show's. After episode 6, the show is finally doing really well, but it's after episode 6 and there's only fucking 8 episodes. So I'm really hoping that they take some of the feedback the general public have given them regarding this show, and when they do season 2, they obviously improve on the pacing issues. Yes, me too, Michael. Cousin Cheeto agrees. Yes. So it's rating time. Jake, what are you gonna give this episode?
I'm going to actually give it a 6. It is a little bit of a slower episode. It's a lot of the setup for the penultimate episode, and as I said, I think we're going to see things go mad next episode. The episode after that, they'll calm down just enough for it to be a season finale with a spike of drama at the end to keep you hooked for the next season. But I think next episode is really what we're looking at. So this is the calm before the storm. It was okay. It was an episode. Viserys died. It had some good moments in character relationships and that kind of stuff. So I'll give it a 6. It wasn't bad, but I mean, it's just average TV. It's whatever.
Okay, before I give my rating, let me read what Miguel has to say. I think for me, it's just New House of Dragon. It feels the same as Friends, but at a much slower speed. Well, the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones was some of the worst television of Game of Thrones of all time, because it's I mean, like the intrigue and the drama is what's really good about the show in the first place. It does, and when it does go there, and when it comes to that the backstabbery and the skullduggery and and the castrations and the incest and stuff like that, it just added layers to an already fucked up world. Um, you gonna say something, Jake?
No, no, no.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. Uh,
no problem. Regarding my mark, I'm going to give this episode an 8. I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of the dramatic scenes. In a way, some of the writing was on the wall. Even when you thought things were getting better, it was never going to get better. Eventually, things were always going to get worse. It was just anticipating it. Even when they were breaking bread and trying to make up at mealtime, you knew shit was going to hit the fan. I
when
love
the kids started fighting, did you think it was going to get worse, or do you think it was going to get broken up right away?
I wasn't surprised that it was broken up right away, but I was maybe expecting somebody to get their hand stabbed in the table or some stuff like that. And you can see with Aemon Targaryen that he still holds a grudge. But there were some great scenes in this episode, like the scene with the chambermaid, like her petrifying crying, like she was shitting herself, absolutely shitting herself, and the acting of just that girl alone, who we'll probably never see again, absolutely fantastic. And obviously, just seeing how the Targaryen boys and the Valerian boys are now, as they become a little bit older, it's fascinating, because like I said, I think the baton's going to be passed to these guys, and I very much appreciated that. Obviously, seeing King Viserys falling, at the end of his life, falling apart, almost dying, still trying to be king. Great stuff as well. And obviously the dinner scene. Dinner scenes are always fascinating in Game of Thrones, and
Yeah.
this was no different. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, brilliant fucking episode. And how can I forget the decapitation? It's just great stuff. So yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. I'm split the vote and give it a 7. One for each point of the 7-pointed star.
That's it. Go home. You're kicked out, Dan. Just get out of here. No, no, no. Your pun is
No,
not
you.
appreciated.
So yeah, so 2 more episodes left of this fantastic series, and unfortunately, we are at the tail end of a lot of our shows, except for Quantum Leap, which is still going early and still quite strong. But we got the last episode of She-Hulk and Rings of Power, so make sure you join us for that near the end of the week, Friday and Saturday, respectfully. But tomorrow I'll be doing Quantum Leap. You're not into Quantum Leap yet, Jake? Still
I
no?
just haven't had the chance. I get limited TV time, and I'm trying to catch up on Andor. Has been my big one. Wednesdays is terrible, so I will never make the review. But the show itself, I am loving it so far. I want to watch Rings of Power. I've only watched one episode. But yeah, no, I've just been putting my priorities elsewhere, trying to get this D&D game off the ground, and just getting everything ready for that, which has been a much bigger struggle. But for those of you guys interested, I do plan still on trying to make that available. People who want to watch some old people play D&D, we are going to play Dragonlance, the War of the Lance. You will hear more details about that as we get closer.
Yeah, so you're apparently Michael's friend here, aka Shockwave, is in Andor.
Ooh,
Okay, that's pretty cool.
that's
I had a
cool.
friend of mine who was once in Grange Hill. Ryan Jellies. Oh, wonderful. Sup, y'all. I'm late. Great episode. He's got to keep his tongue. Laugh out loud. Hey, Zam. Thank you very much, Ryan. Yes, yes. He did keep his tongue. I remember actually after his head got chopped off, and Viserys, prior to his head getting chopped off, Viserys said he would have his tongue, and his head gets chopped off, and Damon says no need. It was
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
he can keep his
So
tongue. His head is mine.
yes, yes, she. Oh, yes, she's. Oh, is she the Desi chick? Is that the Indian girl? And by the way, the waif is in fucking is in Andor. And have you ever seen the waif? By the way, when she's not looking like she's from the fucking Middle Ages, she is gorgeous. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah, she was. They did a Game of Thrones sort of like Comic Con thing, And I was like, what the fuck? Who's this blonde, beautiful stunner? And I thought, no way, that's the fucking waif. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You know, she looked great. A bit like Emma Darcy. Like Emma Darcy, when Emma Darcy is not as Rhaenyra Targaryen, I wouldn't give Emma Darcy a second look. As Rhaenyra Targaryen, Emma Darcy looks fucking amazing. So yeah, it's crazy. So it really does, you know. Anyways, I think we're done here, fellas. Sorry, Ryan, you caught us at the very tail end of our stream, but you will catch me to tomorrow. If, like I said, tomorrow, Quantum Leap, motherfuckers, the new series of Quantum Leap is on. It's Andor, not Endor. It's not fucking Ewok planet, you know. But here we go. Yeah, yes, that's it. Good, well saved there, Cheetah. But yes, join me for Quantum Leap. It's a brand new series. It's on NBC, but obviously there are other ways of watching it. Wink, 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 wink. You know, so you can join us for that. Myself and Commodore Boone will be hosting that tomorrow at 11:30, same time UK. I mean, pretty much all our streams now. I think it's going to be just generic. I was going to do this earlier, but I think 11:30 because we do so many of our other streams at that time. These are the best times to do it. So 11:30 p.m. UK time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's when we do our streams, most of our streams, especially during the course of the week. So you'll catch me doing that tomorrow regarding Quantum Leap episode 4. All right. Anything more to add, Reverend?
I don't think so. At the very least, catch us back here next week for more Hot D.
Exactly. Yeah. Episode 9, baby. I can't wait. The penultimate episode next week. Until then, everyone, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye-bye. I am Mr. 24/7 Zam. He's Reverend Jake.